Across the United States, there are hundreds of places people claim are haunted. Abandoned houses, old hospitals, dark stretches of road where strange things are said to happen at night. Most of these stories fade away over time, but a few locations continue to attract attention for decades. One of those places is an old wooden bridge in Texas. For more than 100 years, visitors have reported hearing footsteps behind them on the bridge, even when no one is there. Some claim to see a tall silhouette standing between the trees. Others say something followed their car as they tried to leave. Locals have a name for whatever is said to haunt that place. They call it the Goatman. Tonight, we open the file on one of the most infamous locations in Texas, Old Alton Bridge, better known as Goatman Bridge. Before we begin, subscribe to the channel. This archive explores strange locations, unexplained encounters, and stories that continue to raise questions long after they first appeared. Now, let's open the file. Old Alton Bridge stands just outside the city of Denton, Texas. The structure was built in 1884 and once served as a crossing over Hickory Creek. At the time, the bridge was part of an important trade route connecting small farming communities. For decades, it was simply a wooden bridge used by farmers, travelers, and livestock traders. But sometime in the late 1800s, the bridge became connected to a story that would eventually turn it into one of the most famous haunted locations in the state. That story begins with a man known as Oscar Washburn. According to local legend, Oscar Washburn was a farmer who lived near the bridge in the late 19th century. He raised goats and sold meat and dairy products to travelers passing through the area. At some point, Washburn reportedly placed a sign on the bridge that read, "This way to the Goatman." The name wasn't meant to be sinister, it was simply a nickname for a man who raised goats. But the story says that the sign attracted the attention of a group of local men who did not want him doing business in the area. One night, a group of masked riders arrived at his home. They dragged him to the bridge, and according to the legend, they hung him from the wooden structure over the creek. But the story doesn't end there. When the men returned the next morning to confirm what they had done, the body was gone. No rope, no sign of the man, nothing. From that moment forward, strange stories began to circulate about the bridge. The earliest reports were simple. Travelers crossing the bridge at night said they sometimes heard footsteps behind them. When they turned around, no one was there. Others said they heard something moving in the trees near the water. Farmers passing through the area claimed they occasionally saw a dark figure standing at the far end of the bridge. At first, these stories were dismissed as imagination. But over time, the reports became more detailed. Some witnesses claimed the figure did not look entirely human. They described something tall and thin, a shape with long limbs. And in some versions of the story, the figure was said to have the head of a goat. This is where the name Goatman began to take on a darker meaning. Today, Old Alton Bridge still stands. But the road that once carried wagons and livestock has long since changed. Modern roads and highways bypass the area. The bridge is now mostly visited by hikers, photographers, and people curious about the legend. During the day, the location looks peaceful. Trees surround the creek. Sunlight filters through the branches. But at night, the atmosphere changes completely. The bridge becomes a narrow path surrounded by darkness. The trees block most of the moonlight, and the sounds of the forest become much louder.
Visitors who walk across the bridge after dark often describe a strange feeling of being watched. Some say the air becomes unusually quiet. Others claim they hear movement in the woods. Over the years, the bridge has attracted countless curious visitors. Some come simply to see the location. Others arrive hoping to experience something unusual. Many people bring cameras, hoping to record evidence of whatever might be there. Some recordings show nothing more than shadows moving through the trees. Others capture strange sounds in the distance. Occasionally, visitors report seeing a tall figure standing somewhere near the bridge. But like many stories associated with haunted locations, clear evidence remains extremely rare. Most videos recorded at the bridge show little more than darkness, trees, and the structure itself. Yet the legend continues to grow. There are several explanations for why Goatman Bridge has become so famous. One reason is the history of the area itself. Many old locations develop ghost stories over time. Another factor is the environment. At night, the forest surrounding the bridge creates deep shadows and strange echoes. Sounds from animals moving through the trees can easily be mistaken for footsteps. Branches scraping against the bridge can produce unusual noises. Human perception also plays a role. When people visit a place expecting something strange to happen, their minds become more sensitive to small details. A shadow might look like a figure. A sound in the distance might feel like something following them. Once a location gains a reputation for being haunted, every small unexplained moment becomes part of the story. Despite the lack of clear evidence, Goatman Bridge continues to attract attention. Part of the reason is the power of storytelling. The legend connects history, tragedy, and mystery into a single narrative. It also takes place in a real location that people can visit. Standing on the bridge at night, surrounded by dark trees and quiet water, it's easy to imagine something watching from the forest. Even skeptics often admit that the place has a strange atmosphere. And as long as people continue visiting the bridge and sharing their experiences online, the legend will likely continue. Whether the Goatman of Old Alton Bridge was ever real is impossible to know. The story may simply be a local legend that grew over time. It may be the result of history mixed with imagination. Or it may be nothing more than the natural effect of a dark forest and an old bridge after sunset. But for more than a century, people have continued to report strange experiences at the same location. And as long as the bridge still stands, someone will eventually return at night to see what might be waiting there. Until the next file.